Yo, what's up guys, how's everyone doing? Shout out to Iceman for telling everyone, rightly so, to smash those likes up before we do get started in today's stream, guys. Today I want to talk about Bitcoin's movements as usual. I still don't know why I give this intro in each video, but you know what we've got going on today is an interesting turn of events. So we've continued our consolidation now for the third day, nearly the fourth day. Again, we'll pull up our ruler and really look at how long it has been consolidating here. So 3 days and 15 hours. Yesterday it was 16 hours because the live stream was an hour later. And if we do look at, after all of our initial pumps, it has been now a total of 4 days, which is like 96 hours. This is very unusual for Bitcoin. This whole, July and June have both been very weird months for Bitcoin. I mean, it's really put up the finger to a lot of the trends that Bitcoin has historically respected. I mean, this movement is very new and unexpected for the entire market. What we have seen is a continuation of our bull flag. We did hit a low of 7,220. I gave a long signal in VIP. Unfortunately, our entry was a bit lower than where we did hit, and so it did hit our first take profit level nearly with about $7 of leeway. I did give the signal to take profit at 450 for that long, and it did just about hit there. And I do think we could see it continuing to the top of this range and potentially to 7,700. And I mean, really, you guys have seen the title of this stream. I'm just gonna pull up the chat real quick so I can see what's going on here today. It looks like, the more we go on, it looks like we are actually getting some very positive signs in this market. And, one of the key things that I noticed, I want to go over to the 1 hour chart and show this to you. I just want to check if the audio and everything is okay. Yeah, no one's really saying the audio is not okay, so that should be okay. On this 1 hour chart, guys, what we've got, I think I just posted it in the gold chat, and VIP, of course, already got that. What we've seen pick up over recent hours is green volume candles. You can see them at the bottom here. They have actually started to go up a little bit. I mean, this is something like double where it was trading before for the previous how many hours. So it's been 10 hours trading like that, nearly half a day, and since then, Bitcoin has been showing some very nice volume. This red volume bar here, being red doesn't really matter. I mean, we're still seeing, this volume bar is already half of the previous volume bars, and we're only 30 minutes into this 1 hour candle, and so we can expect this volume candle to close at the same level. This is a very good sign because what you typically see before pumps, something I've noticed, especially with this one here, is when you're in a consolidation pattern, you're going to see volume go up a little. So we're looking at this candle and this candle here. You're going to see volume really taper off and go pretty low. So you can see it with the x-axis line, I think, or y-axis, the horizontal line that I'm moving my cursor around with. You can see that the volume was fairly low, and then it did really pick up just before the pump up. And if you guys have been following the Telegram posts, you can check them out in the link in the description down below. Gold is completely free. What we have seen with our trend is volume decreasing within this consolidation pattern. Actually, it has become a little bit concerning because yesterday we were just on the verge of being good, but we're now down to $12.5 billion traded in 24 hours, and Bitcoin's volume dropping from $5 billion and now going into the $3 billion range being traded in 24 hours. Now, of course, like I mentioned yesterday, we did see a lot of alt liquidations going into Bitcoin, and Bitcoin since yesterday has been stable. I mean, up 0.87%, literally, not really anything important at all. We have seen a bit of a reaction rally with these alts today because yesterday was a red day for them, and so they did, coins like VeChain, one of the ones that got hit a little bit heavier, I think, making some sort of a recovery. This really isn't anything important. We've seen Bitcoin dominance drop by 0.7%, but on volume like this, I think anything we do see is not very important. And we do have to bear in mind that it was yesterday where most of these coins had between like a 5 and I think 12 or 15% loss, and so getting these small numbers, a couple percent gains, you're just making back what you lost yesterday, and even then, you're not making back everything you lost yesterday because, for example, say you lost 8% yesterday and you make back 4%, it doesn't mean you're 4% up. It means you're only maybe 3.5% up. It's complicated. Do the math, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But the alt market really just staying pretty much the same as well. I mean, everything is going to follow Bitcoin, and so we are just waiting for a breakout of this trend. And like I said, we could potentially be showing the early signs, the early warning signs of a pump here, with green volume really starting to pick up, and of course our bull flag, which is held extremely strong over the past 4 days now, just continuing to show signs of strength. I mean, it's been tested for the highs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. The high has held, this resistance has held, and our support 1, 2, 3, 4-ish, 5 times. So really a very strong bull flag formation, and of course with the trend being up, with volume decreasing, what you're going to see, like I said yesterday, is a big volume pump. Let's go over to something more like the daily to look at this. You're going to see a big pump on volume, and then you are going to see volume decrease. So you can see how right after that pump we did see volume decrease and then continue to decrease, and it's around about now, especially given how Bitcoin never stays in such in a range like this. I mean, let's check out how much percent it's been trading within for the most part. Yeah, we are looking at a 2.5% trading range with candles closing and opening, and so 2.5% for Bitcoin is very low. I mean, of course, we do know it is potentially the most volatile asset to be trading in the world, and so 2.5% really does indicate some very tight pressure, I think, on Bitcoin, and it's going to explode one way or the other. I had a person asking me in the comments today, I think, for one of my videos, why do I think there are less bots in the market? I'm going to go over that, and I do think it's very important that we make this distinction, because if there are a lot of bots in the market, there's a much higher chance that we go up, we form a formation like this, and then we bot back down. This is the typical characteristic formation of bots. I mean, they just want to liquidate positions, and so they look for where the most liquidity is, where they can liquidate the most, and they take the prices in that direction. Stop hunting. And so we did see similar things like this, just bot formations, botting up, botting down. I mean, just typical bot behavior. The reason I know that it's not going on as much right now is we're seeing much more standard human-esque, I guess, moves, where it's more natural movement. We're not really seeing patterns like, for example, this is characteristic of bots. I mean, it was the ascension up was normal, that was okay, but trading within this range could potentially indicate bot action. I think right now it's a lot less so it would make a lot more sense to analyze trends that happened in the past. For example, something like this, where we can see this volume bar incredibly thin because it's so small and irrelevant. This volume bar really peaking up, and then afterwards volume dropping to zero, basically being traded, within a very, very small range, and then volume picking up again on these big moves. So we're not seeing that right now with our current trend, and so that is how I know that bots aren't ruling this market right now. And when we do consider, like I mentioned yesterday in our video, alts have been liquidated into Bitcoin. You've got this ETF news looming, and while alts have been liquidated into Bitcoin, Bitcoin's price hasn't been going down, which means people are selling their alts and holding Bitcoin. They're not selling their alts and then selling Bitcoin as well, which is typically what you see. And so this is a very good sign. It does indicate that Bitcoin is expected to rally. It could potentially be one of the even early signs of the ETF approval on August the 10th, potentially. We do know that SIBO has filed for that, and a couple other players potentially interested in those things as well. So really, because of that, it does look like with this tension really boiling over now, we are going to have to break fairly violently one way or the other, and the only way I'm seeing it happen is going up. Now, guys, you do know I have gone over multiple times in these streams now, this Ichimoku resistance. It has been very concerning to me, and it's the reason, even though I say with relative certainty that we are going to go up from here, it's the reason I'm not taking on any positions. Now, we have had the bullish EMA crossover on yesterday's candle. Of course, that was expected. Like I said, it really really doesn't matter where prices go. At a certain point, we are going to get this bullish EMA crossover, the EMA 13 crossing above the EMA 48. So this is, of course, a very good sign. Typically, this would signal to you confirmation to get into a position. Now, of course, within 2018, it has been one of the most unreliable indicators, with the exception of this sell signal, because we did see a bullish crossover here followed directly the next day or the day after with a sell signal. We got a buy signal at about 9,200, for example, and then a sell signal below that at about 8,600. And so it has not been a reliable indicator, but the way we've climbed up this time, we've had a slow ascension upwards, and this has been a very controlled, of course, these few candles haven't been slow, but leading up to it, it has been slow. If we compare it to previous trends, we did rise very quickly, and so it potentially could have been a little bit of unnatural movement, but this one does look far more controlled and, like I said, indicative of being the end of a bubble pop cycle. And so seeing this EMA crossover being a bullish one, I think is definitely a good sign. But of course, this Ichimoku cloud resistance still remains, and like I said in Telegram, Bitcoin has respected this 100% with only one exception, which was this green Ichi cloud. And so it is very concerning. I mean, we've already had 3 rejections of this Ichi cloud, and obviously the 4th one over here now as well. So it really does depend. We'll only know in hindsight. It is, of course, possible that we negate this, if exceptional circumstances do come around the corner and we end up getting some very bullish news, for example, that would definitely send the market into full bull mode, and that kind of thing would be ETF news of being approved. Now, guys, one thing to take note about this is typically when ETFs do get approved, it doesn't result in a bull market. It's actually when the ETFs become active. So that could be much later, for example, in early 2019, Q1 or Q2. We do know that these things happen relatively slowly compared to the crypto market, where everything moves a lot quicker. And so I don't think the ETF approval is going to suddenly give us a bull market. I've been saying it for weeks. I don't think it's going to happen. Of course, if it does, I'm going to be very happy, right? I mean, I want to see prices climbing, but if not, it's really nothing that would surprise me. Guys, before I do go further into this technical analysis here, I did want to give a quick shout out to Zoo, the Zoo token. You guys know I never really talk about alts or even ICOs, but this is one that did catch my eye, and I made a video on it. I think it was literally like a month ago now, so it has been quite a while. You guys can check it out if you're interested. They kind of are like the Uber for blockchain delivery, so they do on-demand deliveries like Amazon Prime Now, if you guys have heard of that. Pretty cool stuff, and the potential for a return on investment there looks good. And if they do release in a bull market, I think their ICO ends in August, and that if ETFs do get approved, that could potentially mean we'll be in a bull market. That's going to be a very nice opportunity. So the link to the review there in the description for you to check out. Other than that, though, we have got our Ichimoku clouds ranging higher. We haven't seen our daily cloud begin to close yet. It has shown some signs, but it has yet again expanded. And so really, this is a much longer term look. I mean, the Ichimoku cloud is literally 29, 30 days ahead of us. And so really, it's a very long term look. It's 30 because I've got this 30 setting, I believe, on the Ichimoku cloud settings. You guys, I always get a lot of questions about this, so if you do want my Ichi cloud settings, you can copy this. Now, on the 4 hour, I don't think this cloud is as important anymore, because the only time it looks like we'll be reaching this will be when the cloud widens up to about 7,100, if we even do reach it, and that is still 5 days away, and really anything can happen in 5 days. I know we fixate on this market a lot, and so one day can feel like weeks, so we really do have to bear in mind what kind of things can happen within these time frames, and really it's anyone's call for 5 days in the future. That's why I don't analyze things that far ahead. It's way too volatile. What I can see is only the what's going to happen tomorrow or the day after. Beyond that, it becomes a lot more unpredictable. As for EMA support, this has been a very, very good sign. We finally caught support with the 4-hour EMA ribbons, and as you guys know, this is one of my favorite indicators. It has been extremely reliable in predicting support. Every time prices fell into this, when prices were above the EMA ribbon, it did result in a very nice bounce, and when prices were below, it did result in very nice rejections of the EMA ribbon. So we can see this 4-hour EMA ribbon being an extremely valuable indicator, and so seeing a bounce off here is definitely one of the bigger reasons that I've started to let go of my sentiment that we're going to see a dip lower. The reason for that is we've continued to see this bull flag hold strong, and our RSI now on the 4-hour chart, I don't think it's being shown correctly, but we are at it's being shown correctly. Yeah, we're at a 63 RSI reading, and earlier today we were down to 56, so that is pretty much right in neutral territory. I think as we continue to level out, potentially go down a little bit for one more red candle before the pump. I don't know. I'm not saying this is going to happen. Of course, none of this is financial advice, but with an RSI like this is actually what we wanted to see with Bitcoin going lower before it tests the highs. But we are getting momentum indicators either show us a bullish picture now, or it will be in neutral territory, and so there's really not any weight on the market at all. So I think, yeah, these are very good signs, and of course Bitcoin never stays in a range like this for too long, and I don't expect it to stay in this range by the end of today, or at the very latest by the end of tomorrow. I will be very surprised if we're still in this 2.5% trading range by the end of tomorrow. It would be very awkward, like I said in the VIP chat, if we get a weekly candle close within this range. I mean, that would just be very strange. It would completely catch me off guard. But yeah, with that, I am ready to go through your questions, guys. I just want to go through again. VIP has been absolutely killing it with these trades, and I just got this message today from one of our members. By the way, you made me 1 month's salary on my first trade a few days ago. Greatly appreciate it. I mean, that's huge. People making their monthly salary off one trade. You guys saw someone else who went from 2 to 14 Bitcoin in 3 weeks. So I asked about financial independence thing, because I think a lot of us are here, for the 6 figures, for the 7 figures. Wealth creation is where crypto is extremely valuable. I mean, I don't think you can create wealth as quickly anywhere else in the world than you can in crypto. I mean, you talk about starting up a business, and that's going to require huge sums of money, huge amounts of time, and really, it's there's no easy way to hit 6 figures going from zero. But if there's any way that is easy, it is going to be crypto, and this is a prime example of it. Guys, with that, I am ready to go through your questions. Manish, BitMEX CEO wants Bitcoin to bottom $5,000. Very good thing to be bringing up there. Yeah, Arthur Hayes, the CEO and founder of BitMEX, on CNBC a couple days ago, saying that he does expect Bitcoin to go lower, and this did confuse me because he had a very bullish sentiment earlier. Arthur Hayes, being the BitMEX CEO, he wants more volatility, and that's really what he thrives off, because being a margin leverage trading platform, volatility is what makes money through fees and things like that. And so a bottom out at 5,000 would be his best case scenario. And because of, just given how he has a personal sort of agenda for that to happen, he strikes me as a very, genuine guy. He seems like a very genuine guy, but we're in the big world of finance, and integrity, as it's been made clear to me in recent weeks, does not count for much in this industry. And so as genuine as it is, it's still business, and I'm not taking what Arthur Hayes said there as being anything important. He's not a technical analyst. He just runs a trading platform that I love. I've put a link in the description for it for those of you interested. Yeah, Aksam, it's you, ZEEW. The link is below in the description for you to check out. What else have we got? Can you show that inverse Bitcoin chart today? Trader DJ, yeah, very good point. I'd like to bring that up and look at what story that is telling us today, because it has been a very interesting chart to look at. For those of you, of course, who are not familiar with this, what this chart does do is it gives us a view of the vertical axis being inverted, and so every up movement is down on this chart, and the other way around for down movements. And so what this is telling us is we're in a very long-term downtrend. Let's turn on the log chart for this. We're in a very long-term downtrend. We've formed a rising wedge. And so let's take off the arrows now because it's out of place. But you know what this is telling us very clearly is that we've tested the support of our rising wedge, and we have actually broken down from that. And so what you would expect, maybe put this on the 3-day chart, make it a little bit more comfortable to analyze. What you'd expect from this trend is, given that we've broken this rising wedge support, we are going to see volume really pick off and result in a pretty nasty dump going down and below our previous low. That is how rising wedges typically play out. You get reaction rallies at key levels, in our case being minus $20,000, and it rallies up to other key levels, for example, 6,000, and then eventually it will break down. And so this Bitcoin inverse chart is telling us that you would want to short Bitcoin. And of course, since this is the opposite of what regular movements are, we go back to the real world chart of Bitcoin. This is telling us that we are actually ready to go long. We are in a long-term falling wedge within our uptrend. We get reaction rallies that fight the trend, and so the trend has been up. Our reaction rally fighting that trend going down. We've now broken out of it, and so you would expect to go long, take up a position on relatively low leverage, 2-3x, and ride this high up above all-time high and the like. And so this, to me, is the single most bullish factor for Bitcoin. I've been saying it for a decent while. Pull up the Bitstamp chart because I don't have lines on that. I've been saying it for, quite a while now that this chart makes me feel extremely bullish. We're just in a very long-term falling wedge within Bitcoin's uptrend. From a technical analyst point of view, this is where you would short. We have seen the trend with very high volume, and during our consolidation pattern, you can look at this volume moving average. Volume has actually really gone down quite a lot during this downtrend, and so yet again, that's another indicator. When you see volume decreasing, that is an indicator that we're going to see a reversal. And of course, with our triple bottom, with the SIBO and CME futures expiring and renewing, we have had that reversal. So all of those things have been called on this channel a month ago, more than that actually. So it has been a decent while, and it has played out very nicely. I do like how this is going, and of course we will have, like I said, this is the I'm not a long-term analyst. This is the only long-term analysis that I have really ever done on Bitcoin, and it's just because it's such basic analysis. All we need to know are about patterns that replicate themselves many times across cryptocurrency, across conventional trading, which are, you have a trend and you have consolidation patterns, and then you have trend continuations. So very interesting analysis here, and thank you, Trader DJ, for asking me to bring that up. Will the call from VIP chat at 2:45 today be a good idea to invest in now, or is it time sensitive and the opportunity gone? Yeah, so Dan, that was a call where I said I'm not participating, but people who are willing to take on more risk can do. We have since left that area, so if we do return to those levels, you can take on that trade. I still don't think it's something you should do. I just put it out there for the people who really are eager to trade. Thomas Snyder missing the notification. That's all right, mate. I never use 100x leverage, DJMR. It's a very bad idea. Yeah, guys, I'm seeing some talk about US residents. You can all use Kraken, and I've just been speaking to one of their, I forgot the name, like it's an account manager there who works with Kraken in San Francisco, and he told me, they allow up to a 10x leverage, which, is very, compared to regular markets, is very high. People may even call you crazy for doing 10x leverage. To me, that's a good number. and you can really make very good profits. I mean, if you trade a 10% move with 10x leverage, you double what you put into that trade, and a 10% move is not much. I mean, we traded one just like this week, so really it's not a, it's a very good opportunity, and knowing that it's available for US citizens is a complete game changer, I think. So yeah, shout out to Kraken there for people who cannot use BitMEX. 100x is 100% pure gambling. I agree with you there, Justin Lucas. Yeah, people talking about 3 commas. I've never used it. It sounds very dodgy to me just by the name, but I do know that it has been reliable for other people. Yeah, Trader DJ. I just covered the volume, so you can go ahead and rewind the stream and check that out. Projections for the price of Zoo token. Yeah, I went over that in the video. In terms of market share, they have a lot that they can take up, and so the potential returns are pretty high. Check out the video for more of the actual numbers on that, though. Yeah. Which is the best exchange on spread and leverage? I mean, for leverage trading, I primarily use BitMEX. There's also Bitfinex and, like I said, Kraken available. I think there are a couple others as well, but I would stick to those for those of you interested. Guys, if you do have any more final questions, please drop them here, but if not, I am ready to begin wrapping this up. Really, not much has changed within this trading range. I mean, this is one of the days where I didn't even want to come on stream because when I put out posts like this, what I notice is people kind of fall into the trap of over-analyzing Bitcoin, and so they end up watching the charts like a hawk. Every hour they're doing more analysis of Bitcoin, throwing on an extra 3 indicators to try to see if they can gain an edge on the market. And a time like this, there is nothing to analyze. We're just continuing the trend. You could choose to trade the swings between these highs and lows, but that only works until it doesn't. And when it doesn't work, you could get a very nice return, or of course you could get liquidated. And so these are things to be acutely aware of, and it's why I've only traded things like this swing from 6,200 to 7,400. Like I said in the VIP chat, in the VIP channel, I did give the buy signal at 6,200, a long signal at 6,500 somewhere here, and then a second long signal at 7,000. And so compounding all of those profits, I personally saw 250%, and other people who had 500 even. So very, very nice profits on those swings, and those are the things I want to trade. I mean, I'm not interested in trading the highs and lows of this. The profits are very small and the risk is huge. So I'm looking for the trades that, in my opinion, make a lot more sense to trade on. I mean, there's a reason you see volume that's so low within these consolidation patterns, whereas it picks up very high during these actual big moves that do carry significance. And it's not just because the majority of the market is stupid. Of course they are, but it's also because there's more opportunity on these bigger movements than there is over here. I mean, this is just a continuation pattern, by what we're looking at. Can I look at Litecoin? Charlie, Litecoin is going to dip if Bitcoin will dip. If Bitcoin will go up, Litecoin will probably also dip. That's been how Litecoin has acted for more than a year. So yeah, so that's the situation there. Morton with a question further up. I'll just check that out real quick. Check that. Yeah. Okay, so I don't understand the lowest line in the rising wedge. Look at the bigger picture. What points do you draw it between? The rising wedge. Okay. Do you mean this? Do you mean this rising wedge, Morton? If you do, I tend to draw my rising wedge lines, or any lines really, between candle opens and closes. You can be inconsistent with this. It's not recommended, but you can if you choose to, for example, respect some wicks and don't respect others. For example, with this pattern, I could have drawn it something a lot more like this, and have it going like this, and in this case it does definitely represent a falling wedge with it, which is exactly what we want to see. But of course, if you're going to take wicks into account, then you should probably take all of the wicks into account, and so it look a little bit more like this. But you know, that's the reason I decided to go for body lines, because that's where, you know, most of the trading does happen. I hope that does answer your question. I'm not sure if I was talking about the right lines. BitMEX does not have an Android app. Can I do TA on your life? I wish I could. You probably can, to be honest, mate. You probably can. You just got to take an objective stance, which is very difficult, being your own person. The rising wedge going 6 months back from all-time high to now. Okay, I see what you mean. So that's a falling wedge. Go over to Bitstamp again. Where's my Bitstamp chart? I can't read. No, I literally cannot read. Okay, I've got it. So daily. Oops, what have I done? Nope. Okay, so yeah, so this is the falling wedge line. Yeah, okay, so I see what you mean. I have been inconsistent with this one as well. I did disregard this dip below, and the reason I did was the dip down was very quick, and the buy back up was also very quick. And so if we look at actual trading, there's very little that happened over here, whereas most of the trading is taking place within this range. Something a little bit more like this, or like this. I'm not sure if we're on the right chart. Yeah, I mean, you can draw this from various other places to help make more sense of what's going on. Really, I mean, it's open to interpretation. There's no one way to draw these charts. The way I did it on Bitfinex is the way I'm happy with, which is why I haven't removed these lines. You know, the vertical lines, of course, representing when there have been important futures dates, and of course, directly after those, we did see reversals in the trend. BitMEX announced an app on Reddit. Okay, so that is a very good sign. It is nice to see that they're hitting mobile platforms. Question on the EMA ribbon: do you add, subtract, and offset for the EMAs in the ribbon, or just leave it at 0? Cam Mason, I have no idea. I've just set. You can check out my settings here. I've just set it as 21, 25, and so on down to 55, and then added on the additional 200-day EMA. I don't know how to answer your question, though, about offsets and things like that. If you take the fib from swing high to swing low at this last drop, we can go another leg down from 50%. I'm not entirely sure what you're talking about. What's your name? I've lost your comment now. Yeah, Raphael. Let's check out. I mean, if you're talking about, you wouldn't do a Fibonacci retracement for a trend like this, Raphael, because we're not in a downtrend. We're just in a bull flag. Though, having noted that, we have fallen down to the 0.236 line, which lines up, you know, like I said in, I think, the last stream, how the Fibonacci retracements are an extremely valuable tool to use in technical analysis. You can see that we haven't really had any candles open or close below this line. So these lines do work like magic. I'm just not sure if it applies in the sense that you're talking about. So Cam Mason, you want to see the settings for this. Okay, yeah, so the offset is 0. There you go. I'd love a BitMEX iPhone app. Yeah, I mean, BitMEX mobile apps would be pretty cool. You said last time that you don't find the RSI very reliable, yet you have it on the screen all the time. When do you use it? How do you use it? And how far does it influence your choices? Tarasco, very nice set of questions there. Yes, I don't use the RSI very often. I've answered this question a couple streams back, and the only reason I still keep it on my screen now is because I feel uncomfortable when it's not on the screen, because the volume bars are too far low, and it's just like a subconscious thing. I feel more comfortable with the RSI on, just because this has been my default chart minus the EMA ribbons since I started trading crypto in May 2017. And so I just feel more comfortable having the RSI on. To answer your secondary questions, though, how do I use it? I think you'd be better off looking at a basic RSI tutorial. The way I use it is to gauge whether it's overbought or oversold, and of course, because of that, whether it's going to go up or down. But like I said, in recent streams, the RSI has not been a reliable indicator, and even now it is not a reliable indicator. The only reason I'm looking at it now and bringing it up in stream now is because we are getting a lot more talk about it within the crypto space, and it would be nice to at least acknowledge the RSI and see what kind of story that is telling us. How far does it influence my choices? You know what? Before, when we were trading in normal markets, of course, we are moving back to normal now. When we were trading in the normal markets, I did use it a lot. It was one of my favorite indicators. Recently, it hasn't influenced my choices at all. It really hasn't played a big part in my trading decisions whatsoever. Pretty much the whole of 2018. I just, like I said, I keep it on because it's nice to have, I guess. Do you not think the decline in volume this bull move will run out of steam? Sam Homby, no, I don't think so, because we're in a consolidation pattern, and so seeing volume go down is not only expected, but it is a welcomed volume change. We do want to see volume decreasing within a consolidation trend because it gives us more confirmation that when we do get big volume coming in, it will be continuing the trend that we're already in right now. You know, if we were to have the same levels of volume sustaining themselves within this trend, that would represent a lot of pressure, a lot of unhealthy pressure from the bulls and bears to drive Bitcoin either up or low, and so up or down. And so I think that could be a pretty bad negative sign. So it is a good sign, in my opinion, for the bulls, for people like me. I'm a long-term bull for this market. I did just show you my long-term outlook. I do think it is a good sign that we have seen volume decrease a little bit during this consolidation pattern. Do I see possible testing 6,800 again and then going up to $9,000 or $10,000? I don't think we're going to test $6,800 again. Like I said, it would be the best case scenario if we do, because it does mean also old resistance has turned into support. It will mean that bears will lose steam. It will mean that bulls are given a new sense of confidence because a support level that's very important hasn't been breached. But given how strong this bull flag is, I think that if we were to drop, we will not drop lower than this EMA ribbon before we do go higher. Now, whether we go to $9,000 or $10,000, I don't know. We do have a lot of resistance ahead of us. If I turn on the VPVR indicator, you will be able to visualize that. Of course, for those of you who don't know how this indicator works, the VPVR indicator represents how much volume is being traded at a set level, and so we do have a fair bit of volume resistance before we see levels like 10,000 especially, and all within $9,000. Situations do really start to heat up. And of course, we consider the Ichimoku cloud resistance on the 1 day. It is unfortunately questionable right now if we can rise to those kinds of levels. I mean, our resistance right now does end at about the $8,700 range, and it is going to take us a lot of power to push through this cloud, I think. And if we do, it's probably going to be very fast and perhaps even unexpected. So like I said, ETF news could definitely be one of the catalysts that could play a role in taking us to those levels. Yeah. But guys, with that, I am going to be ending the stream here. I really hope you have enjoyed it. DGMR acting like a troll here, so it's either going to go up or down. You have completely missed the point of these streams. Please don't tune in next time if that's going to be your attitude. I don't want to see comments like that. Guys, with that, it has been a pleasure as usual getting on these streams, with the exception of that negative note. I am still surprised after all of these disclaimers. There are people like DGMR putting forward those thoughts. It's quite disgusting and pathetic. But of course, that is only one bad apple in the rest of the chat. Okay, that was a joke. Perfect. That's much better to know. Guys, but yeah, I am going to be signing off. Please make sure to smash those likes once more. Check out the VIP channel. You can go ahead and message me. You will find my name in the gold chat. But with that, I am going to be signing off. I'm out. Peace.